Welcome everyone. Welcome once again to the ECN Youth and Leadership channel. It's great to see you guys once again, and thank you very much for all your comments, for all the posts that we've been having, the questions, the clarities that are required. I've made sure that I answered and reacted to every of the comments that have come through thus far. This is actually very consoling, because it helps me to understand and know that indeed what we're putting out there is actually value, because at the end of the day, that is what this channel is all about, how we are able to now, and that is the vision that we have, to transform this next generation of people that would have into very good leaders, because we've said from the very beginning that leadership is all about service. Leadership is all about building people. Leadership is all about ensuring that things are being transgenerational at the end of the day. So what we have seen in time past is, especially with Africa, because this was one of the motivations behind this, is to see a clear deviation from what we have right now, where people that are in assumed positions that have the privilege of being in that particular office right now, not knowing that they are just one amongst equals, have just the privilege to be able to make a change, and that is that change that we're beginning to make here right now. So thank you very much. And today I'd like to speak to you about something that I perceive very strongly. It's a strong trait, and every leader should. What we've seen in time past within our African context reality is that we see a lot of leaders shying away from this particular trait, and the reasons are not far-fetched. We're talking about delegation amongst leaders. Delegation. And one of the reasons that why we have seen this huge deviation from leaders in Africa, especially, and definitely some parts of the world also, not being able to delegate, is the topic of, or the issue of fear. Many leaders are afraid because they see themselves in the shadow of the people they are leading. So remember that one of the great attributes of every leader is to always stay ahead. So you want to learn more, because knowledge is key. Knowledge is a new currency. You want to be able to upgrade yourself more, upskill yourself more at every point in time. It's not a competition, but there's a quest to always ensure that you are always ahead, because for the people that you are leading, you should be able to show some level, a great level of knowledge. And remember, respect is not pressed. Respect is earned. And knowledge is one of the things that you can use to earn your respect amongst the people that you're leading. When they know that this leader that is leading us is actually very knowledgeable in this particular area or task, then it becomes easier to be able to get your respect, and you don't have to force the respect out of people, which is something that we've seen also with a lot of leaders, because of their inability of their shallow knowledge that they have. What they do is they try to suppress, they try to intimidate other team members, or they try to be authoritarian at every point in time. We've said it already on this channel that the authoritarian kind of leadership style, it's not something that should be employed all through. In fact, the motivational or inspirational kind of leadership style is what works the most. And then when at the context, or when the situation arises, then you now have to be authoritarian. You now have to be very, very assertive in whatever position or whatever directives you're giving to your particular team members. So delegation among leaders. Delegation among leaders. One of the great things, or let me just list some attributes of why delegation is very, very key. Delegation is key because delegation empowers. It empowers team members to feel a sense of ownership. People want to be in charge. That's the truth. People want to be in charge. We're not saying you should give the task or what you have to do to anyone around that does not know his right from his left. No, but people want to be in charge. And it has been proven also that delegation actually motivates. And motivation is a very key factor in leadership. If members are not motivated, they are not willing, they are not self-propelling to begin to address those needs, or add those values, or begin to do those tasks that you really want them to engage with. So that is why delegation becomes very, very key. Yes, every leader should be concerned about what level of delegation. So we always want to subscribe to delegation in limits. So gradually you begin to upgrade the person. You give him a particular task, he performs it, and he brings home the good news. And so you upskill again, or you upgrade again to another different kind of task that requires maybe a more level of expertise, so you continue to grow. So it's more like a reward system that you also use to reward people, that when you delegate to and they get the job done, then you see them high, getting up in the ladder in whatever workplace. So that is why delegation is very, very key. Another key reason why delegation is very, very key is that delegation is one of the best ways for team members to learn on the job. From where I'm coming from, a part of our leadership career development plans that we have is that we have this thing called the 70-20-10 rule. And what it means is that you spend 70% of your time learning on the job, and then 20% of your time under a mentor or shadowing that mentor, and then 10% of the time now in trainings and courses. Because you see, trainings and courses are very, very wonderful, but you see, there's a lot of theory in it. There is nothing as important as team members learning the thing on the job, because what you learn on the job, you are able to replicate it even without supervision, over and over again, even to greater dimensions. So that is why it is very, very key that leaders begin to also delegate, because there is a very easy way to upskill the experience of the particular team members. And then also the other reason why it is very, very vital for leaders to delegate, this is more of a benefit to the leaders. We now live in a world where we are talking about work-life balance. About work-life balance, what it means is that if any leader dares to want to take or abrogate everything to himself, the leader is putting his life at risk. We've seen it time and time again. There's only one El Shaddai. If you try to do everything yourself, you will just die. That is the truth. So what it means is that every human being is limited in themselves. And so by that limitedness, you need some time off. And what we have seen, even among global leaders, we've seen burnout among global leaders. This is the half of the year already. People are beginning to review the different KPIs that they have, half-year review, S1 review, and now people are beginning to look inwards and see many team members are actually burnt out. Many leaders are burnt out because they abrogate a lot to themselves. So what they need to do is begin to release that. We've seen with global leaders, when they're having global speeches and they slump, many die, some maybe hospitalized and cannot return to the job. You see, that job that you're doing right now, the job or that task will continue with or without you. So what it means is that you might be mourned for a particular point in time. You might be, celebrated, or people might remember the times that you spent with them, the value that you added to them. But you see, at the end of the day, the business will go on. At the end of the day, the country's operations will go on. At the end of the day, whatever thing that there is will continue. Life abhors vacuum. Life is a continuum. That is why you must be very, very intentional in delegating, because you cannot take all to yourself. Your health is involved, your family is involved, because at the end of the day, you also want to have time to be able to balance it out with your family, and you can't take everything to yourself. So those are some of the reasons why leaders should definitely continue to delegate. And as we always have it, examples are the best key to explain some of these things, and I'll pick two very good examples. One of them being, I have launched quite a number of products in Nigeria. So for each and every one of you, I'm sure you have a product or a service that you are launching, or you have launched, or you have are planning to launch. And so this is some of the things you can begin to employ in that regards. I've launched over just a little bit below 10 products in Nigeria. We're talking about new products that's, it's not really available in the Nigerian market. So what we used to do then was that there's this pre-launch activities we engage in, and then there's the launch proper activities, and then there's the post-launch activities. And you see, within the pre-launch activities, it involves a lot of stakeholder mappings, it involves a lot of customer mappings. You now need to begin to really ensure, because there are a lot of things you want to capture. So what it means that the leader is involved in a lot of the strategic meetings. Now the day-to-day running of the team now seems as if it will play second fiddle. So what you do is, in that time, what I did was that I had a senior medical person within the team. I had some other mid-level managers that I could just, you stand in the gap. That does not mean you are leaving them to just run off. Depending on whatever interval you agree with them, you could agree on interval on when the reports should get to you, on the feedbacks, so that you're also able to, at your own spare time, just look through what they have done or what the reports have been and say, yes, this is actually in line. Or you have your own inputs that you want to also impute into whatever I think that they have also been able to achieve. So what that means is that you are ensuring that the level of mistakes are reduced to the barest minimum. and you do not want to cost your organization or your the business a lot of maybe money or maybe undue expenses. So this is also very, very key, because it is very, very vital that leaders continue to do this on a constant basis. Why? We've said it already in some of the measures that we have said, that this is the best way people really get to learn on the job. Yeah. So during the pre-launch activities, a lot of engagement, a lot of with different stakeholders, different visits, and so delegation becomes a very, very vital key. And that was how I was able to navigate those very busy times and ensure that the team's day-to-day running does not in any way suffer for it. Yeah, and then when the launch proper, you see, we involve a lot of the team members, because this is also a time for them to learn. I've had team members under me whereby in fact, there was a particular time we did not have a product manager, because product managers are actually central to the launch of every new product. And so I picked up one of the team members that had a very good knack for marketing. He wanted to go into product branding and the whole like again. I said, okay, guy, come on board. You will be the one to assist us in this. And that was how he learned. He had his first launch whereby he was the arrowhead, more like the brand manager, yes, under supervision and all that, but we assisted him, and that was how he launched. It was an extension or an already existing product, and so we had the extension of that product, and so he came in and launched that extension. And can I shock you, after that experience, he left us about maybe 1 year later, and that was how he was able to land a very lucrative job as a brand manager in another establishment. And all that he was able to leverage was, I have done it here, I launched the product, and then I can do it here. Even though his position had not changed in the company, but his experience had. Because what the world is actually looking for is experience. We're not looking for people to pad their CVs and talk about all the certifications and all the things that they've gotten. No, we want to know people that actually have done the job, people that know what they are doing and can replicate it in any environment that they find themselves. So this was a very, very good example in that regards. And then another very, very good one I remember here was, there's this fundraising that we normally do in a social, in another setting. It was not work related. And once every year we had this fundraising event, and we had funders that come in, patrons, support groups that really helped us to pull through that period to ensure that that program was a very, very successful one. Yeah. And taking from last year, we had a very good outing. So what better way than to pull up the list of our support systems, our support groups and funders from the previous year, and we categorize them based on the very important, and using Pareto's principle, we're able to determine the 20% of those funders or support groups that could be able to give us 80% of what we needed. Yeah. And so we as the leaders focused on those particular group of persons. I remember they are not so much, so it's easy for us to be able to focus on them, while the greater number of support groups or funders, we left them more to the other team members and we assigned them accordingly. So what we did was that we're still able to get more than 80% from just focusing on that 20% of those customers, while the other team members didn't feel left out. They also were part of the whole process because they also were able to bring in something. And so we ended up even exceeding what we have. It's always like that. So it is very, very vital, because the leader cannot be everywhere. He cannot be doing everything himself. So he's not omnipresent. Only God is. So it is very, very vital and very, very key that leaders begin to delegate accordingly. And this is the final word for leaders. People or team members do not respond positively to micromanaging. That's a very good reason why you should also begin to delegate. People push back when they're being micromanaged. So give them space, equip them with the right knowledge. As I said, give them these incremental delegations, and as they pass each task, you can now increase accordingly. And then finally, one thing you would also want to do is that, having lent your team for a very, very long time, every leader should know the weaknesses, the strengths of team leaders. So let your delegations be strength-based. So strength-based delegation. So do not delegate a task to somebody that you know doesn't have the capacity to. Yeah, there's some people within my team, when I need a dependable hand, there's someone I will always direct that thing to, because I know that under the pains of anything, it will be delivered. It might take some time. He might not be very fast about it, but dependability, this is the man. Yeah, there are also times that I need somebody analytical and I need something very fast and I need someone to respond very quickly to something. There are people I also know that I can count on. So let your delegations also be strength-based, and then you see yourself maxing out very good outcomes from your various teams. So I do hope this has been of benefit to each and every one of us. Can you let me know in the comment section what your own experience has been also with delegation within your teams, and let us know what the outcomes have been, and then if you need some more tips on how to ensure this trait is being transferred to your teams, please can let us know, and we'll always know how to reach out to you. So, yeah. Thank you very much. Thanks for listening. Do not forget to subscribe, repost, share. There's somebody somewhere that needs to hear this, a leader that needs to hear this, to possibly save the life of that leader from having a burnout. This is the half of the year. Yeah. So I wish everyone very well. Thank you once again, and I'll see you on the greater side of next week. Bye.